Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're going to dig into a really fascinating crypto story. Picture this. A project gets the boot from the world's biggest exchange, and then its price just explodes. Yeah, it's a wild one, and it tells us a lot about the hidden games that are always being played in these markets.
So let's just jump right in. This really all boils down to that one central conflict, right? You've got this grand dream of a project, but then there's the harsh reality of the market. And the token caught right in the middle of this tug-of-war is called NKN. Its story is honestly a perfect case study.
All right, so first up, let's get our heads around the big idea, the grand vision that NKN was built on.
I mean, check this out. Right from their white paper, they weren't just aiming high. They were aiming for the stratosphere. Their goal was to be one of the 3 foundational pillars of a brand new, decentralized internet. We're talking about sitting right alongside the big guns for computing and storage. So no small plans here.
And you can see that ambition laid out right here in their roadmap. They wanted to build this huge ecosystem, empower developers, even push into storage and compute themselves. And this last point is wild. They wanted to connect Web 3.0 with satellite internet like Starlink. I mean, they were literally talking about a network with 1 billion nodes. So yeah, sky-high ambition doesn't even begin to cover it.
Okay, but as we all know, especially in crypto, even the most amazing vision has to face the music. It has to collide with the often harsh realities of the market.
And for NKN, that reality check didn't just knock on the door, it kicked it down. And it came in the form of a major blow from the biggest crypto exchange on the planet.
So here's what happened. Back in early February 2024, Binance just drops a bombshell. They're delisting NKN. Now, for anyone who's been in this space, you know this is a death sentence, or close to it. Getting delisted from Binance cuts a project off from a huge pool of buyers, of sellers, of liquidity. It's usually a sign that something is seriously wrong.
And if that wasn't bad enough, look at this. We're talking about the whales here, the big money players. And what do we see? Crickets. Absolutely nothing. Not a single major transaction in months. It's like a ghost town, which tells you that the smart money, the big money, is steering clear. So, you've got all this bad news piling up, right? It should be game over. But this is where the story takes a sharp turn into the bizarre. This is where we get to the paradox. And honestly, this is the part that should make any investor sit up and pay attention.
I mean, look at this. On one hand, you have the most bearish news imaginable, getting kicked off Binance, liquidity gone, access for new investors is just decimated. But on the other hand, you have the price chart telling a completely different story, a story of insane buying pressure, of a massive bullish surge.
And we're not talking about a small bump here. The price literally rocketed up 78% in a single day. And get this, it happened just 3 days before the final delisting, right in the eye of the storm.
So this just begs the question, right? How on earth does terrible news lead to a massive price pump? It makes no sense. It completely defies all logic.
Well, there is one possible explanation, and it's a bit of a cynical one. It comes straight from the playbook of the pros, the market makers. It's a tactic called news manipulation, where they basically use the hype around news, good or bad, to lure people in and then dump on them.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Was this crazy pump a real sign of faith in NKN's future? Or was it just a really well-set trap for everyday traders like you and me?
So all of this whole paradox, it brings us to where the project is today. And it's basically caught in this epic tug of war, a battle between hope and fear. And this really lays it all out. On the bull side, the reasons for hope, you've got a team that's still shipping code. They're launching new products, and they fit right into this hot narrative called DePIN, that's decentralized physical infrastructure networks. But then you look at the bear case, and it's pretty scary. The crippling loss of liquidity from Binance is a big one, and the technicals were flashing major warning signs, like a super overbought RSI, which usually means a correction is coming.
And what happens when you have this much uncertainty? Well, the so-called experts have no idea what to think either. The price predictions are just all over the map. I mean, one forecast for 2026 has a low end and a high end that are 400% apart. That's not a prediction, that's a guess.
So when you strip everything else away, it really all comes down to this one single battle: technology versus liquidity. The question is, can their tech be good enough to overcome the huge handicap of having no easy access to the market?
All right, so what does this all mean for us?
For the regular investor, what's the big takeaway here? Look, this whole saga, it's about so much more than just NKN. It's a masterclass in understanding the hidden forces, the invisible hands that are constantly shaping these crypto markets. And trust me, these same forces are at play with almost any token you might be thinking of buying.
And speaking of those hidden forces, here are some of the classic traps the market makers love to set. We just talked about news manipulation, but you have to be on the lookout for all of them. Things like fake breakouts, where they push the price just enough to suck you in before reversing. Or stop hunts, where they deliberately spike the price to trigger your stop losses. It's a jungle out there.
And that really leaves us with one last big question that I want you to think about for your own portfolio. When you buy a token, are you really investing in the technology, in the team, in the long-term vision? Or are you just a pawn in a much bigger game? A game being played by people with very, very different rules.